So my friend Pat calls me up and invites me to an all-lesbian restaurant New Year's Eve dinner. And if it had been anyone else, I would have just said no. Because it's 1994, and as an out bisexual, I always feel like the not quite gay enough outsider at all lesbian events. And so I don't go. But I really love Pat, and she won my undying affection the very first time we ever hung out. She came to pick me up to go to a concert, and I opened the door. She took one look at my shaking hands and said, "Quit freaking out, this isn't a date." So it turns out that Pat and I actually have very little in common outside of the fact that we're both queer. Pat is a logical, practical engineer, so obsessed with financial security that she's been shoveling money into a 401k since her early 20s. And I'm an activist, an artist, and world traveler who has jumped out of airplanes and run with the bulls. But from the moment we met, we're kind of this country of two. And it takes us a little while to figure it out. We have the exact same sense of humor. And we figure out it's from growing up in alcoholic Irish families with mothers who are less than nurturing. Pat's mother broke her arm a couple times, and mine used to lock me in the closet whenever I got straight A's, something I learned pretty quickly never to do. So this turns us into the kind of friends who spend holidays together and tease each other mercilessly and basically become family. So I agree to go to the goddamn dinner. And I even get dressed up because I want to make Pat happy. So I walk into the restaurant and there's this long wooden table with 14 lesbians in their New Hampshire winter uniform, lace-up winter boots, blue jeans, turtlenecks, fleece jackets, and down coats. And I stand there in knee-high leather boots with faux jodhpurs in this kind of French cape thing that comes to my ankles, and I know I am totally overdressed. So Pat grabs my arm, and she takes me and sits me in the dead center of the table, next to her other best friend, Karen, because she's hoping the two of us will get along and then our little country of two will be a country of three. And I'm so nervous, I'm just sitting on my hands, I'm very uncharacteristically quiet, and I'm just listening to the women's low voices and their guffaws of laughter. Everybody's having a really good time. And I'm just kind of struck with love for all of it, for the clink of the silverware against the plates and the ice cubes rattling in the glasses and the women and how much queerness there is at the table. And I kind of relax and I turn to Karen and I start telling her this story about taking risk-averse Pat to go eat sushi for the first time. And I order Pat the cooked shrimp sushi, and she stabs the shrimp with her chopstick over and over as if it's going to get up and walk around the table. And Pat hears me telling this story, and she says, "Don't listen to Sky. Sky bought me a slug for my birthday." And I say, "Fake. It was a fake slug. And you're the one who keeps putting it on your headboard every time you get a new girlfriend. How's that working out for you?" And the whole table erupts with laughter. And I'm like, oh my God, I am finally getting along with the lesbians. So, the night sort of continues, and it is New Year's Eve, so people are talking about the year in review. And Karen turns to me and she says, this year my mother died. And I say, "Really? Lucky you." And the whole table goes dead quiet. And I'm looking at Karen, at her blue eyes behind the gold rims of her glasses, and I watch her take this big, deep breath. And then she very calmly says, I didn't have that kind of relationship with my mother. I loved her a lot, and I really miss her. And I just say, oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I wasn't thinking, I'm sorry. I'm just really sorry, Karen, I'm sorry. And she leans over and she says, it's okay. Well, I don't have to look at Pat to know that it's not okay. And so I'm just looking down at my plate and I'm trying really hard not to cry, and the silence continues and continues, and finally people start to talk, but it's subdued now because I took the raucousness of the night way too far. So far that for maybe the only time in my adult life, I forgot to pretend that I was from the country of normal, where mothers actually love their children. And Karen can see how upset I am, and she says to me, it's forgotten already, really. And that helps me to make it through the rest of the dinner. So the check comes, and I am the first person to throw down money, and I throw down way too much money. And then I grab my sweater cape thing, and I'm running out the door onto the icy asphalt of the New Hampshire parking lot. And just then, this door bangs behind me, and Pat comes up and rams me with her shoulder. And she says, can't take you anywhere. And I said, I know, right? And then, thank you, and she starts to laugh. And it's not a little laugh, it's like this big guffawing laughter. And she says, you're so lucky your mother's dead. Oh my God, you're lucky, your mother died, I can't believe you. And obviously I know that Pat and I are okay. And she's laughing so hard, tears are pouring down her face. And I say, you're just gonna freeze your fucking face off. And she rushes me, and she wraps her arms around my waist and lifts me up in the air. And that's how I end 1994, lifted up in the arms of the one friend who really gets me. And there is an epilogue to this story. 3 years ago, Pat died. And at her memorial, I saw Karen for the first time in 20 years, and she had been following. I'm like a fanatic paddleboarder, and I go out into the ocean for hours for way too far. And she said, I think I should be the person that you text to say where you're going and when you'll be back. And so for the last 3 years, I text Karen almost every day. Kind Karen. Crazy Pat, and the lucky one was definitely me.